Hello amazing leaders, and welcome to day 73 of the Amazing 90-Day Challenge. I just want to share with you something that happened yesterday before we get into today's talk. So yesterday I was able to spend a little bit of time with somebody talking about their amazing 3D goal setting. And whenever I do that, it just makes me want to share it more and more. So if you haven't looked into it yet, go back to some of the earlier talks around this on the podcast and have a look. There's different things out there online around amazing 3D goal setting, so go and have a look on that. If you don't know what it is, ask me in the comments and I'll come back to you and we can talk about that in more detail. But it's about turning your dreams into goals through that program. So I'd love to talk to you more about it and help you as well, because what happened yesterday was just fantastic to be able to help somebody else set some goals for the first time, and I'd love to do more of that with you as well. So today, day 73, we're talking about be prepared. Now this has been the motto for the Scouts movement since 1907. So what does being prepared mean to them? I think it's really interesting. So I want to read you what their meaning is, and then we're going to go back through and talk about some specific areas that I think really relate to us as amazing leaders as well, whether we're in business, whether it's at home and we're running the household, whether we're a part of a team, or whether we're at school or college, university. It doesn't really matter where we are in our life. This will be applicable to all of us. So the meaning of that motto is that a scout must be prepared. So they must prepare themselves by previously thinking out and practicing how to act on any accident or emergency so that they are never taken by surprise. So that's obviously relating to the Scouts. But then when we look at it, we talked yesterday about planning. So I think that really relates to the previous thinking section there. Part of planning is going through scenarios in our head about how things might play out. And often as amazing leaders, we can see things more than others, and we can see things before others as well. And that previous thinking, that time that we allow ourselves to think what's going to happen in this situation. If I say this, what will they say? If we do this, what will then be the outcome or the result that we're hoping for? And that previous thinking can then be backed up by practicing, trying, testing, all those different things that we can do. But you've got to think it out first and spend some time doing that. Then it moves on next to the practicing. So the Scouts will practice certain things so that when an accident or emergency or something comes up, they know how to do it. They will know how to tie a certain knot, or to be able to administer first aid, or whatever else it might be. So what are we doing within our lives as an amazing leader? What are we doing to practice different things? And how much time, energy and focus are we giving to practicing those skills? I think if there's something that goes wrong in your life or in your business or organisation, then you've got to look at yourself first to think, how much time did I spend previously thinking about this, and how much time did I spend practicing this? It's very easy to put the blame on somebody else, or a bigger person like the government, or headquarters, or whatever it might be. You've got to take responsibility yourself and think, okay, I need to practice on how I can get better at doing that. So those two are the first things: previous thinking out and practicing how to act. You've got to act on something. And again, we talked about this yesterday in the planning, is that I know some people that just spend all their time planning and never the doing or the acting out. And that isn't good. As an amazing leader, you've got to lead by example. You've got to spend time thinking about things and practicing things, but you've got to spend time on acting things out as well. Sometimes that's just one-to-one with somebody else, and you're going through and you're setting out a plan of action. You're showing them how you would be prepared for a certain situation so that they can learn from you. They can put their own spin on it if they need to as well, or they've got an example to follow at least. So make sure that you are acting on the things that you have been thinking about and practicing as well. And then it talks about accidents or emergencies. Now, in our day-to-day lives, what accidents and emergencies, what things come up that we weren't expecting? Different things happen all the time, and no matter how much planning you put in place, there's always going to be something that comes up as an emergency. Now, it may not be a life-threatening emergency, hopefully, but it will be an emergency of some sort that you, as the amazing leader, you need to sort it out. And you need to be prepared for all of that so that they never take you by surprise, those accidents and emergencies. And even if they do take you by surprise, which sometimes happens, you've got to act in a certain way so that the other people looking up to you, looking around at you, know that you are in control of the situation, that you're thinking about things, that you've practiced this 100 times before, that you can act on it if you need to, and it's not taking you by surprise, not to the extent where it's going to stop you from doing what it is that you wanted to do, or what you perceive to be the best thing that it is that you need to do in that situation. So, how prepared are you for each day, each week, each month, each year? How much time do you spend thinking about that? Do you set aside time for yourself to have some thinking time each week, just for you, and a piece of paper and a pen to think about what's going to be coming up? Now, you may say, I don't have time for that, I'm too busy. Now, I'd argue the fact that actually you need to make time for that as much as you can, because the more time you spend in preparation, the better you will be in execution. It was Brian Tracy that said every minute you spend planning saves 10 minutes in execution. That will give you 1,000% return on your energy that you put into something. So don't tell me you haven't got time to do that, because I think that if you don't, you may be wasting time by not doing it in that way. So it's a challenge for you. Try it today. If you haven't, think about preparing yourself for the day. Maybe you set out your plan the night before and you just spent 5 minutes on doing that. If you haven't, then try that tonight. Plan what you're going to do. Be prepared. Practice things out. Practice it in your head if you have to. Have a conversation with yourself. If you've got a difficult conversation coming up with a colleague or a supplier or a person that you're trying to sell something to, or convince them to do something your way, how is that conversation going to play out? Have that multiple times in your head. I use this scenario a lot. I say to people, whenever they're speaking to somebody on the phone, especially around selling or customer service and things like that, the people on the big screen in the movie theatres, or on our TV screens and the films that we're watching on Netflix and on Prime and just on the TV or what have you on a DVD, those actors and actresses, they have spent hours reading through the scripts. They've spent hours practicing with the script in their hand with the other actors or with other people. They've then done lots of role plays and have had direction from the director of the movie. All of this before they even start rolling the film and say action. All of that is previous thinking and practicing before they get to literally act on the screen for us. So that when they do, it looks natural. We're engaged in it. We're drawn into whatever the scenario is or whatever that is that they're acting out for us. That's because they've spent lots of time up front practicing and preparing. Those minutes of planning have saved them tens of minutes in their execution, so that sometimes they can do it in one take, and that one take is enough. But regardless of how many takes that they take to do a scene, we always only see the edited, finished version of what it is. But don't be under the illusion that they've just turned up that day having never heard about what it is that they're going to do, and then they've started talking on the screen. So that's their preparation as actors and actresses that we see and we enjoy. How much time are you prepared to put in to be prepared for the people that you're serving, that you're working with and working around? So what do you need to do today to be prepared more in your life, in your work, in your education, in your personal development, whatever it might be? I really encourage you to think about that today and act on it and do some preparation time. So I hope that's helpful. I hope you'll have an amazing day. And remember, why be average when you can be amazing?